Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is Grand Arena, the final match of the first week, Season 28. Unfortunately, the first two matches I am not uploading. The first one, I was playing with 45 minutes left in the round, so I didn't have enough time to set up everything for the record. For the second match, recorded it, but I had messed with settings that messed up the capture. The gameplay was fine. We won both those matches, but the video capture itself was choppy and laggy and unusable. This round, I'm re-recording the opening because of the aforementioned messing with the settings. The audio's all messed up, so now I need to re-record all of the audio, but I'm going to use some of it where the gameplay audio did not drown out any of my dialogue. So there might be some weird things with tenses or other commentary early on, or I might double up on what I'm saying. I don't exactly remember what I said through all of it. I'm not going to re-listen to it all since it mainly works. But we're going to get into it. We are still undefeated for the week. Take a quick little look here. I'm going to go for 3-0, and I think we got a pretty good chance. I'm looking forward to that. So Tommy here, this is how their run went. We were able to edge them out. We were a little bit more efficient. Take a look at how their defense was. They took 2 shots up against my Grievous, kind of a surprise. And he needed to take a couple shots up against another team. I think it was up here. Yeah, 2 shots up against Hux there. That's a bit of a surprise. Happy surprise, but definitely needed it because I needed a couple shots against his fleet and to clear his JKR JML team. Here's the back wall for thoroughness. I keep forgetting to change this. This was something from a month ago, the previous 5v5 season, when I didn't have the right characters geared up, and I needed some. And my Star Killer at that point was low relic, so it wasn't really all that useful. I don't know why this. There we go. Come on, scroll. I don't know. For whatever reason, the fleet territory does that. It's annoying. Now for this round. Take a look at my opponent here. Mini max of wellness. Running, it doesn't matter what people run in the arenas anymore. 7.9 GP, he's got 4 GLs. Take a look at speeds really quick, just get a general idea. His speeds, his Padme's at 296, his Cat's at 306, that'll pull up in a minute, but that gives a general idea here. So right there, in this range, there's a number of 300 speed characters, but that's not that many 300 speed characters. That's good. So his mods are fine. They're not terrifying. We'll get into that a little bit more when we break down the hotbot data. Let's jump into that right now, actually. Here is what the hotbot says. Larger guild, lifetime banners are good, reflective of a serious player, but low on the undersizes and clear, so we can probably get some banners through taking advantage of that, since we know he probably didn't do it against me. Zetas are somewhat low for his amount of GLs, a very good amount of relics, decent depth. And with the mods, he's got way more 6-dot mods, but a really bad quality of 6-dot mods. So this is the thing that I talk about. I haven't talked about it in a while, but this is somebody 6-dotting bad 5-dot mods. Though I've got double the, or almost double the 10 plus speed mods. We've got advantages in everything. I shouldn't have any advantages if you have twice as many, or practically twice as many 6-star mods as I have. Relic levels distributed pretty well. It's fine. I've got the faster JMK. Sith Eternal. He doesn't have relics on his JM. Oh, he has 5. So I didn't see that because he didn't have the relics on his JMO. So he's 5 GLs. These no Star Killer. Fairly slow characters overall. I've got the advantage on Cat. And basically every character. His mod game needs some improvement. But a good roster overall. And you know what, since I've got it pulled up, I can take a look at this information here. For how things match up. Let me move my face out of the way. Not that many Grand Arena Omicrons, only 3. He has a number of... His Omicron game is kind of all over the place. But Grand Arena is not everyone's game mode. But considering his lifetime banners, I'm a little surprised by that. So no Star Killer. Iden is... Is that a Gear 11 Iden? That's a Gear 11 Iden. Those are Kairos I didn't want to put on. Dash is not all that usable. No Omicron on Zam. His Bad Batch isn't ready, and his Quill is weaker. Let's get back. Let's get into this. Break down this defense and get moving along. I'm feeling good about this one based on the Grand History. He's already gone, which is great. We definitely got some holds. No trouble up there. Let's check down below. Down below. No holds there, so we're relying on the back wall. It's probably the Qui-Gon team. Qui-Gon gets the hold again. I gotta change this. I need to do something there. We're probably not gonna goof off too much. I'm tempted, but I want to win. Oh my god, please let me scroll. Alright, there we go. 3 attempts. Nice. That gives us a little bit of wiggle room, but not much. We still need to play well. And so far, I'm not engaging in datacrons. I'm just waiting until I accumulate some of that stuff, maybe for next week. Maybe a week after. I'm undecided. So Bossk, Dooku, Darth Revan, and Jedi Knight Revan. And a weak Jedi. You need to have the relic on Jolie. That's the most important one here. Down below, we've got Rey. And there's datacrons on his Rey. And I guess that's fine. Some extra stats. But we've got some weak teams here, and I think we'll be fine against... I'm hoping we'll be fine against the Rey. Let's just start with Ewoks and Nest. Let's solo it up. And from the hair change, you can see we are into the re-recording of the footage now. Let me tweak the size of these windows. So Nest up again. You know what? Let me turn on. I think we can have some sound effects. I accelerated the speed a little bit. We're like at 1.4-ish. Starting off with a Nest solo up against Omicron Chief Chirpa. That's straightforward and easy. Nothing to really say about it there. The potency is a little annoying. Like I need to... My Nest is pretty good. I could make her better. But it's not enough of a difference to make a difference. Not that the Chirpa Army is doing anything, I'm just commenting on the day's landing. Oh, you know what? Maybe we can't use sound effects. Maybe I'll make it quieter because I can kind of hear my voice underneath. I'd like to get it to a level where you can't hear me hear any audio from me talking, but you can get the sound effects of these guys attacking. Great. So we're doing JMK versus Ray. This another straightforward match. This is a pretty easy comp too. It's kind of weird. So I've been busy with my own work. I have my own business, which means I don't have regular hours. So I just work until there's no work. And with deadlines, I've been busy. So this has unfortunately had to take a little bit of a back seat, even though we're right on the edge of being monetized here. But I should be back onto it, onto a more regular basis now. Been busy watching all the shows. We got a lot of shows that we can watch right now. I'm not going to talk about Kenobi because I'm going to talk about that in the next Grand Arena video. But I did watch Umbrella Academy. Better than season 2. Some weird things happen in it though, where the dialogue is significantly worse. Like I'll talk a little bit about the first episode, but there's like a little bit of fighting. It's very comic booky with the dialogue, which I don't remember the show having bad dialogue before. So it makes me wonder if there's a different writing team. Because the show I always found to be pretty clever in the past. But I noticed it was weirdly different. And then it was the overall structure of the season depends a little bit on too many convenient things happening, like characters just not talking to each other. And I think that's a very lazy writing trope with stories where, like, if you just don't have characters communicate, then you have things happen with the plot. And if the solution is you have your characters talk to each other, then maybe how the plot played out should have happened differently. Alright, what do we got next? So Mon Mothma here. I think I did Sith, which is a little risky based on the relic levels relative to my own counter. Yeah, that's fine. So I don't want Cyan to die, and I think that not putting pain everywhere may have been a miscalculation, because I lose Traya to start off because of that decision. But maybe I lose Cyan, and I think I'd rather have Cyan. Because this isn't a debuff heavy team, so it's not like the leadership from Traya is all that important. Or we still have the leadership. The unique from Traya is all that important. Get a little worried about Nihilus. I think Nihilus survives though. When I do these matches, I've done so many that I can't remember each individual one anymore. Yeah, see, that's all fine. Could have been more efficient, but it's fine. So Phoenix, we can get some more banners here. I don't even remember how I played this. I wish I would have done more testing, but I was going for a 3-0 week, and I didn't want to take any chances by using some of these new squads like Sortie, Radis, Inquisitors. This isn't, I guess there's only one Jedi, so maybe not the best for Inquisitor testing, but still would be interesting to see how my Inquisitors do up against this level of a Phoenix squad. So I undersize it. Like, there's so many other things I could have done. Like, that's a lot of firepower to be throwing up against a Phoenix squad. Probably could have just soloed it. Alright, so next. Back wall here, we got Kylo, Qui-Gon. There is a Datacron. I'm largely not using Datacrons at this point. I've got a bunch of resources. I wanted to let them simmer for a bit before I started using resources without having a full understanding. I don't want to waste them. And there's no rush, especially for this first week of Grand Arena. We had, a handful of days before Grand Arena started, so there wasn't that much time to accumulate resources for Datacrons. Week 2, same deal. I haven't engaged with them yet, but week 3 I'll start using Datacrons and we'll see what I think. But this first week, their presence did not make a difference. And I don't think I've largely talked about my feelings of Datacrons. Just with my schedule and the types of updates we've been having in game, it wasn't something that I covered, but I don't like it. I'll give it time to see what happens. I don't feel, though, it's like this predatory thing that some players feel like it's. My issues are it shrinks the ways that you can play the game, and there's a limited number of routes of valid ways to play. One of the ways I like to play, Datacrons basically says is invalid. Like, I like to hold back resources, I like to do low gear things, and now Datacrons very clearly say you need to have relics. And I understand why they're doing it. They want to keep pushing us. They have these new games coming out. They want to get a little more hands-off with SWGOH, but in order to make this game go a little bit more on autopilot, they are creating game modes that restrict the number of ways you can have fun in this game. We all have to play more or less the same way now. You can farm things a little bit differently, but in terms of gearing strategy, because what these games ultimately are resource management games, and we can't manage our resources when you have all of these structures saying this is how to play it, or else you can't have access to a wide berth of the game, which was a part of the reason why I was so upset about the Grand Inquisitor Legendary. That was something I talked pretty explicitly about in one of my earlier videos, where I just felt like, call the event something else. Don't call it a legendary event, because by calling it a legendary event, that had a very specific definition. There's no need to step on that. But it's done. I guess the Grand Inquisitor in general is another thing I didn't talk about, which I'm happy with it. I like the character. I like the shared stats. He fixes a lot of the issues with the squad that makes the squad kind of not usable right now. You'll see it in the first match of week 2, because I've already recorded that one. The Inquisitor testing that I do does not go well, and it's largely because of the lack of shared stats. So we got this Qui-Gon Datacron. What did I do here? Did I attempt a Night Sisters this? I would not be surprised if I attempted a Night Sisters. I wish I would have had the videos to round 1 and round 2, because those were wins. They were nice wins. I felt good about them. We're going into this final one. Going 3-0 was in play. I forgot if this worked or not. How did this go? This is something I'd like to do, but Ki-Adi-Mundi makes it scarier, because if he lands armor shreds onto Daka, that counteracts the stacking health that she gets and it nullifies her survivability and the effects of her Zeta. So I'm making an effort to make sure Ki-Adi-Mundi stays stun locked and Anakin stays stun locked, but you can see how much trouble I'm having with having GK there as well with, I remember how this went, with his persistent taunt, or I guess not persistent, but how it keeps coming back. I keep reviving because the amount of health you need, you don't want to take chances with Anakin around. I'm just giving them the bodies for the sacrifices, doing basics every chance I can for these revives to get that stacking health and damage. This is a particular variation where if I were to see it again, and this is the first time I've seen it, I probably would take a different counter. I think I had JML available. I could have just JML'd this. You can see we're at a point now where we can survive a big hit from Anakin. I should have taken Qui-Gon out at this point. And maybe I'm trying to. I just can't get around this taunt. Yeah, I should just... Yeah, no, I needed to go after Qui-Gon right now. No, I'm misplaying this. I need to be taking out Qui-Gon. We're running out of time. We already survived a big hit from Anakin. I know I can take one. I just didn't give myself enough time. I'm trying to get stun locks just pretty needlessly. Now we're at a minute left. I should have saved that. We didn't have taunt. I could use it right now if I wouldn't have used it. It would be helpful if I had Plague on Qui-Gon as well. So we take out Qui-Gon. We got 20 seconds left though. And I didn't notice the taunt was off, so I missed that opportunity to take out Anakin. And we're out of time. Just started feeling the pressure of the clock and started making bad decisions. So we're forced to clean up. Was winnable though. I just needed to have taken out Qui-Gon sooner. I waited too long. I delayed it too much. And this is probably a mistake. But I forgot the rest of the board. The rest of the board was probably weak enough where I felt like this was fine. At least the video footage is working, because the round 2 footage, somewhere in the middle of the recording, it all gets laggy, even though that's not what I experienced while I was recording. Maybe I needed to restart the computer or to wait a second there. The NBA trade deadline is going on, and I just got a text, so my team may have done something. I think it's just my friend speculating. I don't think a trade happened. Trade deadline's going crazy. I could use more NBA fans on the Discord. I can talk about every team. I play fantasy. I'm a big fan. I can talk about your team, not just mine. The error is I put Stark down. Stark should not be part of this counter because he removes turn meter from his unique every time he takes a turn, which prevents being able, with Django and with Nest, the damage immunity won't come off. And protection up for Enfys Nest. So this was me just not thinking and making a dumb decision. This is completely winnable. I've won this a bunch of times. You just can't do it with Stark. So we're gonna go with the AoE. I might even hit auto. Throw an armor shred to at least make Nest a little bit more vulnerable. I should have saved Newt, because if I would have saved Newt for when these guys lost, or at least when Django lost damage immunity, I would have been able to use an AoE to take him out to generate some turn meter. I was waiting for to use Dark Trooper to take advantage of Nest. You can see we're in trouble now. We gotta get Daze back down. I should have gone with a turn meter. What do I do? Yeah. Yeah, see. Misplayed. I just got a little sloppy near the end. But everything was still winnable. And the way my defense did, it set me up in a position where I could make these kinds of errors and still get away with it. This is way overkill. I could have done something else. This is just, not that it matters. It was just partly why I did it. They're just like my comfort for going up against bounty hunters, but really they're way too good unless the Zamami is on the field. Okay, what? So I'm going to do JML up against Darth Revan because that's a nice... It only requires one Jedi, essentially. Like one good Jedi. Gas up against Jedi Knight Revan will invalidate Jolie, but it's a, what was that, Gear 11 Jolie? You got to have relics on Jolie. Not that it helps in this counter scenario, but in general, that's how you make this squad is dangerous. Like right around Relic 4 is where you can do Jedi Knight Revan versus Padme, or Jedi Knight Revan against Grievous. Below Relic 4 Jolie, that's not really an option. It may have even been my first relic on the squad. No, I probably had Yoda first. I held off on the Jolie one a little bit. Yeah, but straightforward. Alright, JML, and then I'll just take in some junk. I guess I don't. You can, though. You can do all Gear 11 Jedi, and as long as you have JML, he can win up against all but the very best. If there was Relic 7 around across the board, I would take in all good Jedi. Not all good, but all Relic Jedi. But if it's like Relic 5 on average and below, JML plus Junk Jedi can win it. And I don't recall what my first move was, but what I like to do is mess up the interaction between Bastille Fallen and Darth Revan, increase cooldowns on one of them so that their turn orders don't sync up and cause more damage. Like if the shock isn't there for Bastille Fallen to hit, then she's not going to be able to do any AoE damage to take out any Jedi on accident. All right. How did I clean this up? I didn't have any trouble with it, so I came up with a good idea. What was my good idea? Probably Padme, because that's the only team I have left. Yeah, it was Padme. I used Padme here. Can we skip ahead? Because I know I'm going to deliberate. There we go. And it's just because the way courage works, I know at least from the counters from Nest, I'm going to get the protection increasing from Padme's unique or leadership. I forget which one. Probably the leadership. Yeah. And with that functionality, I know I'm going to have those stacks of courage to do some damage. And that's why her. I'm just going to make a specific effort to hit Nest, to force the Nest counters, to take advantage of that. Not going to go under stealth. Just always the same deal. Okay. We don't have the stacks of courage there. Padme has some, but we probably need the damage to come off. Perfect. Yeah. But that would have been one shot with Stark not in that trooper lineup. Or I could have just done like troopers up against bounty hunters and used Maul up against Newt and would have had not even had to risk anything. But I get into certain patterns, and it's actually something I want to change. And it's one of the reasons to change up your defense, to force yourself into playing a different offense and challenge yourself to counter teams in different ways. It keeps you better. It's easy to get complacent, and it's something to challenge. I'm kind of surprised how fast this video is going. The 1.4 speed has saved some time. And I'm not really noticing it as I watch. I threw it at 1.4 because I felt like the sound effects didn't sound weird. And if I made it like 1.5 was kind of okay. But the accelerated footage would throw off the sound effects to the point where it wasn't really watchable. And I like having the sound effects around. So this is kind of working. Yeah, so this is just how I've liked to play my defense or my offense. I keep the Executor to have a guaranteed win up against the Executor. I don't want to deal with the RNG of other counters, and I don't have the relics on the other fleets that would make them more consistent. Because when I put Executor on defense before the fleet change, like, normally I would win, but that Malevolence counter would sometimes put a win or a loss in my opponent's hands, and I want to have control of my own destiny. Now, he set the same fleet defense that I did, and you're going to see why I set it the way I do. So right now I'm checking to see if he has TIE Interceptor, because that impacts whether or not you need to be worried about his Chimaera. From his fleet history, he doesn't use it, but that may have been, we just got done with Conquest, so he may have unlocked it during that period, or I guess Conquest wasn't done while this was happening, but he could have been able to get the TIE Interceptor. If you are a player with a smaller account, a younger account, and you're trying to decide between all these different Conquest releases, I would go after the TIE Interceptor. You can unlock it sooner, you can use it sooner, you don't have to have the relic, and it is going to make a much larger impact on your roster sooner. That's how I'm going to be handling things on my alt account. Because when you have to have these 7-star unlocks and you only get Proving Grounds whenever you, like maybe once a month, like those are long farms if you're not doing refreshes. TIE Interceptor can help your roster sooner. So that's where I've been using my Conquest currency when it's been relevant. On normal mode, I haven't had a bunch of options in terms of how many shards I can buy at a time. And this may have been a strategic error. I don't know. I was less worried about his Chimaera because of the quality of his TIE Interceptor and my belief in that he was not going to use it. Because I'm trying to make a decision between what do I think I can pick apart. But he does have Sith Eternal Emperor, so his Chimaera fleet is good. This guy was what, a 5 GL player? He also has GML, so he has relics on these pilots. But, I don't know, maybe it would have been possible to pick it apart. I just know that Radis in particular is very weak up against Rebels, because the Rebels can dispel the deflector shield. And without the deflector shield, you're not affecting the ultimates, so it completely falls apart. Whereas the Radis is going to have a better shot up against Chimaera. And then, without having a fast enough silencer, the Finalizer is not going to be a great counter. I don't have the punching power that I really need with that fleet, so I don't want to rely on that either. So I was hoping I could pick apart his Chimaera here. Especially because he has the wrong starting lineup. Like, I don't think I made the wrong error based on the fleets that I had. I think what I needed to do was change up my fleet defense, make it a little bit weaker, and have kept Rebels, or probably the Rebels, for offense. This Chimaera has been getting me a lot of holds. So keep the Rebels for offense so that I could have a guarantee clear. Instead I don't, and we end up not getting through. Which I guess I could just, spoiler alert. This is a super tanky TIE bomber. Like I just, maybe I need to take all these guys to at least gear 12. But we barely do any damage, and we don't have too much survivability to make it, to affect all those cooldowns. Also, we lost all the deflector shield from the AoE on the TIE bomber, which I did not factor into my thought process. I should probably bring out the tank. I don't think I do. And I think that's an error. Yeah. Because maybe if I brought out the sergeant, I wouldn't have lost my resistant pilot right there. And everybody else. No shot. We need more fleets. Hopefully we're going to get some soon, because you're going to see me do some other things in a moment. let's skip ahead on this. Yeah, so we do finalizer. And see how shallow we are with fleets at this point. We can't really have more capital ships until we get a couple more ships in game. Like, I want Luke's X-Wing, Red 5. Then that might be the final piece we need to split up into 2 Rebel fleets. And then I want a Sith fleet. There's a number of ways we could do it. You could look at something with Grand Inquisitor. We got a ship we can use from Kenobi for that. We have Dooku. There's Old Republic Sith Empire ships that we could be adding. I want more. I'm probably playing this wrong. I don't know this fleet as well. What do I do? So I was hoping the taunt would go off. I don't. Oh, it's because of the target lock. What the hell was I thinking? I know how that works. Yeah. This TIE bomber is so tanky. Like, I'm working on Sith Eternal Emperor. Maybe not next character, but I am working towards him right now. And I'm looking forward to having a much better Empire fleet. I'll probably throw the relic on. Throw him pretty soon though, because I think he only needs a finisher. I think I've got all the other pieces on him. I hate that I can't get through this thing and he doesn't have the TIE interceptor. I'm just skipping ahead. So this is where, if there was an actual Sith fleet, we could try something. Sith fighter, it dies way too easily, so I like to use it as a reinforcement. Otherwise, with especially preloaded turn meter, it's gonna fall apart. But for a tank ship, I mean, I guess our pilot is Sith Marauder, but this Sith bomber, just to go down that fast, disappointing. We got 30 minutes to the start of free agency. Already a bunch of crazy stuff has happened. Yeah, that'll be the end of this. We just can't clear the because I put too much down on defense. That was a strategic error. One I don't usually make, but the problem is I didn't do any scouting in advance. I've been just too busy that I allowed what was already on defense to stay on defense. And if you can help it, don't do that. Because that more than anything is how I've been losing matches lately. There's a number, just putting myself into difficult situations or not having particular counters available because of how my defense has been doing. But my defense has been getting a lot of holds the past several weeks, so that's been good. We're going to get caught up in videos. I've got the roundup from last week's Grand Arenas for my alt account. I'm going to just put those all into a single video. If the video footage captured is workable, I haven't verified it yet, so if you don't see it or if it's abridged, it's because of that error. We'll see. I'll be taking a look at that later this evening after I post this video. And then the Grand Arena for the first week, or the first round of the second week, I'll be uploading that in a day or so, just as we unload this backlog that has piled up. But thank you for watching. Be safe out there and be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.